Farmers across the country are okay. I don't have time to read all of this. You could pause and read it. I'll take a screenshot, put it on the side, and then listen to this, although this will be a screenshot. 1 minute and 14 seconds.
You should do a little research. What I want to know is, why are people finding box of ticks on their farmland, specifically large farms with cows, sheep, goats, horses? What reason would people want to spread ticks and make that become a problem for farmers? I think we better start researching this and find out what exactly is going on, because this is quite concerning. And it's not just one person, it's not just one farmer, but many farmers are finding ticks on their property. But this is really weird. I know Pfizer is coming out with some new products to help get rid of Lyme disease, but that can't have nothing to do with it. We all know we can trust our government. Does anybody have any ideas what the hell's going on? Why they're finding boxes full of ticks in open fields on people's properties? Something's really weird.
All right, so there's that. I don't want to go in the comments. You could pause and read that, but let's go to the next tweet. Virginia voters now, all over. All right, this Virginia voter nails it. Unfortunately, okay, he's quoting it. Let's just listen to him. The screenshot of this will be next to the video. 34 seconds.
Why come out here? Why be part of this?
So obviously we've seen a lot of big problems that Donald Trump has created. He has explicitly stated to his state legislatures that support him, find me more seats. I want them. And so I think that's a really big problem. And normally we would say like gerrymandering is wrong, but unfortunately we've been pushed into the positions where two wrongs will make a right. And it's, as Democrats, we simply can't come to a boxing match when the other person brings a knife. We're just not going to be able to survive that. And so that's the position we've been forced into.
Why come out here?
All right, let's leave that alone. I have to run. You could pause and read whatever you can read. Okay, 88. This is the next one. Now we are into Florida. This is different things that's going on across the U.S. and some other countries. Let's pause this. This one is longer. The Florida grand jury is not releasing its finding on all the alleged $10 million in Medicaid fraud by Governor DeSantis and his wife Casey that was allegedly diverted into her charity, Hope Florida. What makes this worse is that Rick Scott appointed the judge. All right, listen. Oh, my God.
The Florida grand jury that was investigating the $10 million Medicaid money that goes to Governor DeSantis' wife's charity, Hope Florida, that ends up going to two nonprofits, that ends up then going on to political action committees managed by the governor's chief of staff, James Upmeyer, that they are keeping the findings of the grand jury under wraps and keeping it quiet, not saying a peep. What? Yes. This is just coming out now. And the judge just so happens to be Judge Lee Marsh. Guess who Judge Lee Marsh was appointed by? None other than Rick Scott. Rick Scott, whose company, Healthcare of America, that was fined $1.7 billion for Medicaid, Medicare fraud, the biggest fraud in the United States, is appointed by him, is dealing with this Medicaid fraud here. Right now, they're keeping all the findings quiet because it involves the governor, Governor DeSantis. It involves the governor's wife, Casey DeSantis. It involves the governor's chief of staff, James Upmeyer, who is now the Attorney General of Florida, and they're not going to spill any of the tea and the info what's in here apparently at this point. I think we have a right to know. And clearly, if they took $10 billion, which they did, they took $10 million that was paid because supposed to be a refund back to the Medicaid fund for Florida and for the United States. They had them send $10 million directly to Casey's charity. And this is definitely violating federal law on Medicaid money, going then later to nonprofits, then going to political action committees, and apparently 1.5 million of it, they're not sure whatever happened with it. So we want to know what the hell's going on. What do you think? If you're a Floridian, if you're a true American, don't you want to know about fraud? Y'all, you can hear about Trump and J.D. Vance's fraud. Well, here's fraud all over the place right in Florida by our Republican administration. Let's hear the facts. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my Burndale labels, and my Floridians too. Let me know what you think. This is so wrong. It smells worse than a skunk.
Well, Florida, they had so many chances. They have had some really good candidates running for office and all that, but they always go for the MAGA. So that's their problem. This is what happens when you brace yourself for what's to come, when the people around you refuse to move forward. I need to pause and let me go wake up my kids and get these videos out of the way. All right, so let's do this one. The state of Tennessee wants to pass a bill that with every woman to have at least one child. The craziness. Again, the MAGA, Make America Great Again. There's a video I did on Pt2. That was back in 2022, I think. A CNN with Christiana Amanpour was interviewing this guy regarding some issues like this. I'll show you the thumbnails. All right, you could go check it on Pt2. Let's listen. You might hear some noise in the background. The kids are up.
Tennessee would like to require every woman in the state have at least one child. They passed a law that allows hospitals to require that you have at least one child before they will tie your tubes. The Medical Defense Act allowed a Catholic hospital to legally cancel a woman's sterilization surgery because they said they had a duty to protect her sacred fertility. What the hell is that? Their so-called ethics committee said that she was too young and that she hadn't had a child yet, so they wouldn't perform the surgery, meaning that she has to have at least one child before they will let her tie her tubes. You shouldn't be a doctor if you're a religious nut job. And in Tennessee, you can't end your pregnancy even if you've been violently assaulted. And since only 1% of assaults actually lead to jail time in this country, it's legal to assault women in this country, let's be honest. Republicans are doing everything they can to require women to have at least one child in this country. And there are plenty of violent men out there ready to assist them. They don't require men to have at least one child before he gets a vasectomy. Every single law that these Republican religious nut jobs pass in the name of their religion brings us one step closer to...
Okay, at this point, I don't know what these white women are thinking. Not her in particular, just in general, because we've known... What is it? I think Oprah did a what do they call, round table, or bring women to talk about their issues. This woman who almost, actually one died and one who almost died, with Kamala Harris, they talk about things that how they want to move forward. All the evidence, all the information were out there for people to vote the right way. They did not. So this is why now I'm like, you know what? I live here. I live in the U.S. I don't agree with the way the laws are going. But unfortunately, if there are a good portion of people who's fighting to make things right, and then you have pretty much a good portion of white men and other groups as well who don't want the country to move forward, who's for violence against women and all of that, and then you have some white women who's willing to assist those white men to allow this to happen. This is where you create that bubble and do what you have to do to protect yourself. And these people don't want the country to move forward. You have to brace yourself. So the country had to go through that to see it. These people mean business for them to vote the right way. All right, I'm not going to go in the comments. Next one. Now, completely different topic here. This is Gabrielle Union from Friend. Talking about her role in Friend. Right, Gabrielle Union talking about how a joke of her being the first black person on Friends didn't sit well with NBC. And they went through every single episode, frame by frame, to try to prove that there was another black person with lines on the show. All right, let's listen to this.
They asked if I wanted to be on Friends, and I was supposed to just walk in like I was watching Living Single. I wasn't a Friends person. If I would have gotten a guest star on Living Single or, Martin, I would have been like, oh my God, New York Undercover. Yes, I've arrived. Friends, okay. So I'm doing press for something else and I'm on The View and I make a joke because everyone's like, oh my God, you're like the first Black person on Friends. And I was like, yeah, who knew I was the Rosa Parks of must-see TV? Turns out NBC did not find the humor that I did. And they literally went through every frame, and I think at this point it's like season 9 in a show based in New York, to find if there was any other Black person who said anything. After looking through 27 episodes per season, 9 seasons, they were like, what we can accurately say is that you are the first African-American love interest on Friends. And they didn't anticipate that it would become a joke, because...
There's that. All right, let's move on. I used to watch Living Single, Martin, and all of that. And I think they said that Friends was like a white version of Living Single. They took that idea from Living Single. There was a time I spoke about where, let me not go there. Then I'll have to do more research on top of my head, and then I have to back my... Oh my God, lately I've been seeing a lot of people putting those type of GIF with Trump and all of that. My Aunt Madea came to my, see my show, okay, 19 seconds, look at. They have Trump doing the same type of work. Oh, what the hell? Oh, there's a version of Trump here. Same music. Unfortunately, I can't play the music. Probably. Twitter is crazy. There's a lot of version of Trump doing that same work. I wonder who created that music. Next one. Alright, so there's this here. Elon Musk is really in court arguing that being forced to treat Black people fairly is an attack on his freedom. The mindset, I don't know. His company, was it XAI, is suing the state of Colorado because a law said, quote, hey, maybe your AI shouldn't discriminate against Black people and jobs, and job loans, insurance, and all of that. Let's listen. 25 seconds and then I move on.
Y'all over here worrying about cherries coming in y'all mouth and lap dances on stage by Chris Brown with this Usher and Chris Brown concert. Did y'all know Elon Musk is in court right now suing to discriminate against us? So every Black person that has a Cybertruck or a Tesla, he gonna make sure y'all don't get nailed another one because he does not like us. Which I'm trying to figure out, what is it about Black folks that y'all don't like? The fact that we are Black and proud? We love living in... Y'all over here worrying about cherries.
That's that. If you know more about... Oh, what is that?
You see, Elon and Kimball and Tosca, they grew up with me from a very early age. As I spoke to you earlier about, they only knew that they lived in a very fine home in Waterkloof. By the time they were 7, 8, 9 years old, I had given up Mercedes-Benz cars. I had moved on to Rolls-Royce cars. So they only rode in Rolls-Royce cars, if you understand. They knew that if you wanted to go somewhere, you got into a twin-engined aeroplane that belonged to you, and you flew there. And then you landed on your airstrip, and you went to your lodge, if you understand. They weren't like other kids. And, they'd been to, as I said, they learned to ski in Europe when they was still 10 or under 10 years of age. You see...
let's go to the next one. The crazy thing that's going on around the world. Now we're back to the U.S. Virginia. Okay, the last one was about the U.S. Donald Trump warns Virginians that if they vote yes on the redistricting amendment tomorrow, this already passed. I'm very late recording this. All right, amendment tomorrow, he will lose power. Quote, if the Democrats get additional House seats, they're going to be making changes at the federal level. All right, so I think, what is it? I think it went the Democrats' way. All right, the Virginia redistricting referendum has passed, allowing the General Assembly to temporarily redraw the state's congressional district. It is expected to leave Democrats with 10 House seats and Republicans with only 1. All right, so there's the thing here. Oops, that's the logo. There's that. District held by Democrats. There's that. So they redoing it. So it's gonna turn like this. Alright. So this is this guy. What's his name? I forgot his name. He went to Europe to promote the MAGA type of branding. Alright, 1 minute and 48 seconds. I forgot his name.
And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills and pay Senate. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast. Even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys that liked, and some of these institutions, I understand. This is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, I had Hawley on the show this morning. Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it, and I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it. And these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, limited government constitutionalist in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this, seize the institutions. If we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever because you're never going to have another Trump.
That's right.
Right? You're just not going to have it.
That's right. Why do you think they went so hard after Crockett in Texas? I think in one of the recording I did today, they went after Crockett really hard. She didn't win the primary. Now she, come the next election, once her term is done, she can't run for office again until she run again for primary and, be able to legitimize and being in office again. They're telling us what they want to do. I don't know why people don't listen to them and vote the right way. Cool, that's what we want. Also, why does he sound like he's intoxicated? All right, 12 seconds, and then I go to another one.
This is what they're going to be doing with this referendum. If the Democrats, look, if they get additional House seats, at some point, if they get these additional seats, they're going to be making changes at the federal level. This is what they're going to be doing.
I will tell you right.
If American people want the same type of Trump kind of presidency where you can't even get out in your house, people going, federal government going to your house without warrant and all of that, then you vote for this type of people. Next tweet. All right, so this one I saw a while ago. Come on, pause. All right. Breaking U.S. military veterans are occupying the Kennan building and the national capital to protest real genocides on Gaza. So that was posted on April 20th. Today is April 24th. All right, 44 seconds. Screenshot in between. It's playing over. So I'm done. I put all the tweets that I've been pushing back. So that's it. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to support this channel, there's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the description. You could donate. Those who have donated, thank you. That's it. Thanks for watching.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we asked for forgiveness, and please come back.